Hi, everybody. I'm Lance. I'm the owner of Permanent Records in Los Angeles, and we are not your average record store. Permanent Records is also a live music venue and a bar. And in addition to hosting live music 5 nights a week, serving cocktails and craft beer and natural wine, we also offer records up for sale on Instagram every night of the week. That's right, 7 nights a week. We take a crate full of LPs, usually mostly LPs, and offer them up for sale on our Instagram page at Permanent Records LA. We started doing this at the beginning of the pandemic. Basically, stores were forced to close, our bar was forced to close, our venue was forced to close, and we needed a way to sell records online that was different. And everybody is already on Instagram, right? Everybody's already scrolling through Instagram for news and, to stay abreast of whatever's going on in the world, keep in touch with their friends, watch funny videos, etc. So we decided that instead of asking people to come to our website or go to Discogs or some other platform, we would just go where everybody else already was. And immediately selling records on Instagram for us was a huge success. People were loving the fact that we were selling online because we were closed, and also scrolling through hundreds of records getting posted every night gave people something to do, gave them inspiration to check out different things that maybe they'd never heard before. And obviously, when we're offering records up for sale on the internet, we will ship them straight to your doorstep, or you can come pick them up from our record store in person if you happen to live nearby. So, in case you're not already familiar, in case you don't follow us on Instagram, here's how it works. First, we post the picture of the album and the caption of text below it that includes the year the record was released, the country the record was pressed in, the condition of the vinyl and the jacket, and any other pertinent details that you might want to know about, whether it includes an original printed inner sleeve, any inserts, whether it's sealed, a white label promo, autographed, what have you. And once that record is posted in our feed, the first person to comment dibs below gets dibs on that record. Basically, they're claiming buying it, right? And that's all you have to do. As a customer, all you have to do is comment dibs first, and you will get the right to purchase that record. No one else can buy it once it's gotten a dibs comment in the comments, obviously. So after that, basically, Tara goes through and she replies to all of the people's comments that it's called dibs on that particular record. And we also recommend that you write something other than just dibs over and over and over again, because the Instagram bots like to delete comments that say the same thing over and over and over again, assuming that they're spam. So we have over the years encouraged people to use a spicy version of dibs. Just get creative. Spell dibs a weird way, or with a bunch of B's, or with a bunch of S's, or put another word along with dibs, and to ensure that your comment doesn't get deleted by the bots. So yeah, once we've seen your dibs, we will reply to you and say you got dibs. And after that, we will DM you with payment instructions, and you can pay us via PayPal or Venmo, or potentially any other way you'd like to pay us. Whatever works best for you works for us, but most people pay via PayPal or Venmo. And then twice a week, we go through, gather all the records, and you can collect, or I should say, combine orders, and we will ship any size order, no matter how many records you're buying. You can buy one record or 100, and we'll ship them in the continental US, actually anywhere in the United States, for $6 flat. So order as many records as you want. It'll only cost you $6. And we will aggregate your total and send you a DM with the total and payment instructions. And that's all you got to do. As soon as you send payment, you just wait for that order to arrive on your doorstep, and you can enjoy your records. Also, we, like I said earlier, offer in-store pickup if you're local. So you could do the same thing and not pay for shipping at all and get your records that way too. So today, to encourage all of you to come by our Instagram account on Tuesday, December 17th, I'm going to offer this particular record, crate of records up for sale. And I just wanted to show them off in advance. We don't usually do this. We're just busy all day, every day, getting these posts together, pricing these records, etc. Excuse me, too much garlic for dinner. Luckily, you can't smell that burp. And yeah, so I wanted to show you what's coming. There's a lot of really good records in this crate. A lot of them are records that I like, especially. And yeah, I just wanted to give you an idea of what to expect on Tuesday, December 17th at 5 p.m. Pacific time at permanentrecordsla.com. And then, yeah, sometime between 5 and we usually wrap about 45 minutes later. One record after another will get posted. You don't have to bid. You don't have, it's not an auction. You just, if you like the record and you like the price, you just call dibs first and that record will be yours. It's that simple. So feel free in the comments below to ask me any questions you might have about the way we do this. This is just a small fraction of the way we sell records, just a small part of our overall operation. We mostly sell records in person at our shop, where we're open from noon until midnight, Wednesday through Sunday. But we like to offer our regulars on Instagram records too, because they are the ones that got us through the pandemic, and we'd hate to bail on them and ditch this whole side of the business altogether just because everything's all opened up again. It also gives you a good idea of the kind of stuff that's rolling through the shop on any given day or week or month. And you can go back through our feed and call dibs on records that don't already have dibs on them, going back sometimes, you know, days, weeks, and even months into the past. We'll get DMs every once in a while about a record we posted 340 weeks ago and to see if it's still available. Rarely are records that old still around, but you're more than welcome to ask us about them. And if we do still have them, you can buy them that way for sure. So anyway, that's the gist of it. But a lot of people also use our Instagram account and our system to discover new music. We include hashtags that include the genre and any other kind of like pertinent tags that we think might make sense for that particular record. So if you see heavy psych in the hashtag, you know that that record is gonna be a heavy psych record, and if that's your kind of thing, then maybe you should check that out if you're not already familiar with it. It's a good way of discovering music that is new to you. And we primarily carry secondhand, used, and vintage vinyl, but we do get new records that come through every once in a while as well, and secondhand copies of modern releases. So, okay, I hope I explained the dibs system thoroughly there. Now, on to the records. All right, this crate is the crate that we will be offering up for sale. And first in this crate is this Dust Heart Attack album. I absolutely love both Dust records. Dust, if you're not already familiar, was a power trio from New York, New Jersey, up that way. And the claim to fame here is that Dust included what's Mark's real last name? Mark Bell, who later became known as Marky Ramone when he played in the Ramones, believe it or not. This is where Marky Ramone cut his teeth on the first two Dust albums. Absolutely amazing. By the way, there are price tags up here, and a lot of times on higher end price tags, we back them with a post-it note type sticker that is very easy to peel off of even textured jackets like the next one we have up here, Neil Young's Tonight's the Night. This album is a promo. We put little notes to ourselves on the jackets there, so we know, you know, to take the record out and take a picture of that promo label so that you can see this rare promo version of Tonight's the Night. The description will also likely mention that it's got the printed inner sleeve, as I mentioned before. And yeah, again, it'll tell you what condition this record's in. And we also are extremely conservative graders. You can ask anybody who's ever bought a record from us. They're 99.9% pleased with the grading. We do it that way because we don't want anybody to be disappointed. We know grading is very subjective, but we also understand that shipping records to people is kind of a pain, and we don't want you to have to ship a record back to us because you're disappointed. That's that. So Tonight's the Night. I was gonna say something about that. I don't know. That's a classic album. It's one of my favorite Neil Young albums. I think I heard a story once, and maybe this anecdote isn't exactly true. Maybe I should pull out Tonight's the Night while I'm talking about that record. When Neil was first writing this material, I think before this album came out, maybe he was on tour for Harvest. The Harvest album had just come out, and he was touring that album. Well, after, well, he went on stage and played Tonight's the Night album straight through. All tracks from just this album, and people were kind of bummed and, you know, not really stoked on the fact that he had foregone performing the material that they were familiar with. And he ended the set by saying, okay, now we're going to play some songs for you that you've heard before, and started the set all over with the same material from Tonight's the Night that he had played earlier. I have not fact-checked that story, but I love it, and I'll share it here. And if you can confirm or deny that, feel free to comment below. There's probably a few krautrock records in here. We get a lot of krautrock records at the shop. We love krautrock. We love the Sky label, and this Redelius Selb's Portrait album is a classic of the genre. More on the Berlin school, like ambient tip side of krautrock, but still amazing. This is the second Suicide album. I absolutely love Suicide. This looks to be an OG first press with the original printed inner sleeve with our boys Alan Vega and Martin Rev on it. For those of you who found the first Suicide album to be a little too challenging, noisy, abrasive, the second one has a lot of the same elements that are on the first Suicide album. Keys, reverbed to the max vocals, drum machine, but it's slightly more accessible. It's really, really enjoyable. I'm not going to take this much time to talk about every record in this crate. I just want to show them all off before we feature them on Instagram. This Adventures of Robert Savage Volume 1 album is an amazing, heavy, hard rock, heavy psych album. You got to check that out if you've never heard that and that genre appeals to you. I absolutely love this Ron Wood solo album. I've got my own album to do. If you like the Rolling Stones and you haven't heard this particular album, even if you don't like the Stones and you just like a good old-fashioned classic rock record with incredible songwriting on it, I highly recommend that. I Can Feel the Fire is such a great song, but my favorite track on here is called... What is my favorite track on here? Oh, Act Together. That's the jam on this one. Some heavy metal for you metalheads out there. We got Killers. Oh, such a classic Iron Maiden album. And yeah, it's an eclectic mix. Every night we offer just whatever we've been acquiring most recently. So sometimes it's cosmic American music, like this classic Gene Clark album, No Other. If you've not heard the title track or the entire LP, this is my favorite Gene Clark album, as it is most folks. Fanny Hill, all-female, early heavy set, early 70s heavy rock. And then not only do we have that Fanny album, we got a white label promo with the timing strip of the self-titled debut. How cool is that? Those of you who like electronic body music, which is essentially electronic dance music on the industrial side of things, This is Robert Gorel. He was in a band called Deutsche Amerikanische Freundschaft, or DAF for short, and this is a really great solo album of his. Those fans of bummer punk out there are very familiar with the generic Flipper album. This album's absolutely incredible. If you like side 2 of My War and you've never heard this, then you have to get that album. But I think most people that know Black Flag are probably already familiar with Flipper. Here's some more Kraut rock. This is Cluster 2. The aforementioned Redelius is joined by his partner in Cluster, Mobius, on Cluster 2. And then we have another Cluster album on the Sky label. This is Grosses Wasser. Classic stuff. More German. This is the, looks to be the US original pressing of The Man Machine. Absolutely love this album. It looks to be in quite good shape as well. Fans of East LA punk rock can do no better, almost no better, than Electrify Me by the Plugs. This is a classic punk album, especially when it comes to Latino punk from the East LA scene. This is Sonic Youth's The Eternal. Not my favorite Sonic Youth album. Keep getting my hair caught. Sorry, my hair's a little wet still too. I don't usually get on camera when my hair's wet, but here we are. I'm strapped for time today on my way to a show at the Roadhouse. We got Color Green and Primitive Ring tonight. I'm super stoked for that. This is a classic Impulse title, one of the few that doesn't have the orange and black spine. This is Huntington Ashram Monastery, or Monastery, I guess is how I should pronounce it since I'm not British. Just absolutely stunning spiritual jazz with Alice Coltrane on the harp and our boy Pharoah Sanders skronking away as well. Just, whew, these records are getting harder and harder to come by. And as you can see, these particular copies are super clean. You could hear that little crackle when I opened the gatefold, couldn't you? Taking Tiger Mountain by Strategy by Brian Eno. On the Beach, more Neil Young with the cool, not textured, but printed inner sleeve to match, or internal part of the jacket to match the underside of the umbrella there. I always thought that was a really brilliant album design. This album, I can not say enough about David Crosby, enough good things about David Crosby's, if I can only remember my name. Let's look at the lineup, the all-star lineup of musicians. Neil Young's on here, Joni Mitchell's on here, Grace Slick's on here, Jorma from Jefferson Airplane, Phil Lesh, Mickey Hart. This is a who's who of musicians of this mentality at this time. And this is a David Crosby breakup album. It's heart-wrenching and really, really laid back and just so vibey and incredible. Gotta check that record out if you're not already familiar. All right, this video is going way too long. We got Spaceman 3. I've talked about Spaceman 3 many times in previous videos. I won't get into them here now. Blue Cheer, their classic debut, Vincibus Eruptum. Right up there with Black Sabbath as the first bands to invent the heavy metal genre. Meat is Murder by the Smiths. Susie and the Banshees, more classic, new wave, amazing stuff. The aforementioned Pharoah Sanders, this is an Impulse title, a classic one. And another Iron Maiden, the classic Number of the Beast. More Fanny. I think we got the first 3 Fanny records in the mix here. There's a cool Fanny documentary. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. They're a legendary all-female band. And here's the first Dust album. I did not realize this was going to be in this crate. I didn't price these records, so I'm just going through blind. You're seeing these for the first time. I've talked about this Tom Tom Club album. If you like the Talking Heads, you got to check that out. If you've never heard this album, Electric Food, you must hear it. I believe this is Pretty Things, if I'm not mistaken, under another name, doing a lot of covers and just getting super, super heavy. It's really, really great. The second Electric Food album's also really good. I highly recommend checking those out. Here's an oddball private pressing I think this is called Dialogue. I have never, aside from when we bought this, Kurt Shore and Jim Stanton. So you'll get stuff like this in the mix too. That, you know, if you've never heard this before, maybe you don't want to buy it without having heard it, but you can go check it out online and then come back and pick it up from our dibs. Yes, Upstairs at Eric. This is an absolutely classic synth pop album. I love that one. Meters, killer funk, one of the best Bayou funk bands, New Orleans funk. This is their album Trick Bag. Speaking of Talking Heads, we got their debut 77 here, an OG US pressing with the original printed inner sleeve. Jane's Addiction. I don't know how much of this album I can show on YouTube without getting in trouble, but there's nothing shocking about what's going on with that album cover. Not really, anyway. Not to me. This is the classic Detroit rock and roll staple. This is like the one, you know, aside from maybe Funhouse by the Stooges, Kick Out the Jams by the MC5, is the proto-punk template. There we go. Edgar Froese, Macula Transfer. This one's on Brain. Let's see what color the Brain label is on this one. This has got that green Brain. That's the one you want, right? Orange Brain's fine. Green Brain, that's the one you want. This is Husker Du Warehouse Songs. I've talked about that album before. I love Husker Du. Some more LA punk. This is the Flesh Eaters. This is A Minute to Pray, A Second to Die, original US pressing. New Order, Low Life with the OB strip. Hard to find it with that on it. That thing's so fragile. Also has original printed inner sleeve. Some more classic 80s new wave. This is The Cure, Head on the Door. Maybe my favorite Cure album. I don't know. Three Imaginary Boys is really killer too. This is Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, the double LP classic by The Cure. Also includes the insert and the original printed inner sleeves. We got, oh boy, the colored vinyl, pink colored vinyl OG of the Melvins, Stoner Witch. This is a classic 90s album, heavily influential on Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, and legends in their own right. Also influential on Nirvana's Mission of Burma. They're one of the coolest, I guess you would call them alternative rock, but not really. They're a college rock band, if you will. Experimental, kind of post-punky, just amazing stuff. Mission of Burma and A League of Their Own. It's got the original printed inner sleeve. This looks to be a OG US pressing, and you don't see these very often anymore. Another Our Band. I learned about that band in the book Our Band Could Be Your Life many moons ago. Legendary 5 Leaves Left by Nick Drake. Love that album. And then we got some experimental stuff. This is Current 93 for folks that are into way further out music than most are. This is an OG pressing of the first, not the first White Stripes album. This is White Blood Cells on Sympathy for the Record Industry. I believe this is the second one. I can't remember if White Blood Cells or Distill comes first. This is an OG double LP pressing of Ween's The Pod on the legendary Shimmy Disc record label. If you're not familiar with Shimmy Disc, I highly recommend investigating that catalog. It's really underrated. This is Alice Coltrane and Carlos Santana's Illumination. One of the cheapest Alice Coltrane records you can get your hands on these days. We got the OG Dead Kennedys Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables. Very hard to find with that orange jacket and the poster. We have that poster outside of the jacket because I'm going to take a photo of that all laid out for Instagram. This is New Order's Brotherhood. Oh my God. One of the greatest major label hard rock records of all time. The Red Album by Grand Funk. If you can't get down with this album, then we can't be friends. That's a classic. Nightclubbing by Grace Jones. This is super fun stuff. She obviously covers the Iggy Pop song, which was maybe also a David Bowie song first, but her version's really cool. Grace Jones is cool as cucumber. Her albums are almost all incredible. And yeah, we got this incredibly strange one here. I love the Electric Lucifer by Bruce Hack. This is a wild and crazy late 60s electronic vocoder masterpiece. It's symphonically strange and wonderful. And if you're not familiar with Bruce Hack, you need to get familiar. He has a really crazy story that was told in a very good documentary as well. And then we also have something we just recently included in an email blast. This is an original stock copy of Joey Ekins' All Your Dreams. This is a Real People outsider synth pop record from 1986 from Georgia, the state of Georgia. This is a really, really endearingly wonderful album, and I highly recommend checking out the clips on YouTube of this. We also have a link to that in our on our website as well on his album, and we'll also include some newer records in this show, some things on our label and some things that I did the A&R work for. This is Swimming Bell's second album. We put this out on Permanent. It's called Charlie. So great. If you like female singer-songwriter stuff with full band arrangements and kind of a cosmic American music, kind of country rock, psychedelic, slightly psychedelic, subtly psychedelic country rock kind of thing. This is really, really good stuff. Highly recommend that. Another release of our own will be going up. This is Golden Grease's debut, Zero Time. This is a killer, muscular post-punk record that's highly recommended for fans of Total Control, The Fall, Eddy Current, Suppression Ring, and the like. Really, really good stuff. Jed from Zigzags plays on that. This is the band I was in before I started the Permanent Records Roadhouse. That's me right there. This band's called Salt Lick. I played bass in this band, and we were going for a heavy 70s Detroit vibe, trying to sound as close to the Stooges, the MC5, Blue Cheer, Crush Butler, and all of the stuff that I comp on Brown Acid. That was the aim of this band, and I think we did a pretty good job. We also cover and I sang on we also cover and I sang on a version of Hi Babe by Chrissy Zebi-Tembo. Yeah, Hi Babe. Yeah, Chrissy Zebi, or Ngozi family, actually, who Chrissy Zebi-Tembo was in. All right, we got the Oda, self-titled Oda album. This is a 1973 Bay Area hard rock masterpiece. This is a reissue. I did the A&R work. I tracked down all the rest of these bands. Parchment Farm from Missouri, tracked down these guys and uncovered a whole LP's worth of previously unreleased material. This is unbelievable stuff. Same thing with this Backjack album. That's my boy Mike Lusher there. He's the one that put us on the Parchment Farm unreleased material when I tracked him down looking for Backjack. Amazing stuff for sure. Another archival release, we got Gary Del Vecchio's Buzzin'. This album includes the track Buzzin' from the 45 that he released back in 72, something like that. And a bunch of other previously unreleased material and more stuff like that. This is a reissue of Brotherhood of Pieces, Cut and Loose. This is from 1974, early 70s, I can't remember. No, maybe 76, the single's earlier. Anyway, Cut and Loose. This band's from Mount Airy, North Carolina, pretty sure. Yeah, it is. And yeah, this is really good. This is like a classic rock album that you've never heard before that should have been a hit and just was self-released, poorly promoted, poorly distributed, and the band broke up before anything major happened from them. We'll also put up one of our few remaining copies of the Zipper album that we reissued on Permanent Records. That's Fred Cole from Dead Moon and Lollipop Shop, etc. Scrap Metal, a heavy metal compilation of obscure singles that I did kind of as a follow-up to Brown Acid. We got Band X, if you're a fan of Weather Report and really wild fusion stuff with crazy affected vibes. And I mean vibraphone and vibes in general. This Band X record will be included in the feed. The Maximilian reissue that we did for Record Store Day. That's a cool all African-American power trio from New York from back in the day, 1969 is when that originally came out. And last but not least, we'll throw a couple of Brown Acid records up. Again, all you got to do is call dibs. We offer the records up for sale. We take pictures of them. We present them one after another in a short stream of posts on Instagram at Permanent Records LA. And this particular crate will be available on Tuesday, December 17th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. I hope to see you over there. We want to see this whole crate of records go in one fell swoop to good homes like yours. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I will be back here with another video again really soon. Until then, take care, y'all.